Hi everyone, Mrs. Edstrom here. Today we are going to look at some more multiplying and multiplying with double digits. So our essential question today is, how do I multiply double digit numbers? So we're going to write that in. How do I multiply double digit numbers? Make sure you go ahead and fill in today's date right here. And notice that our topic says composing and decomposing numbers. We are going to be multiplying double digit numbers, and we're going to be doing this by composing and decomposing numbers. So as you guys know, many of you guys have learned standard algorithm. So that would be where we are stacking our numbers like this, 27 times 13. You all have learned this at some point. You guys all know you multiply the 7 times the 3, put the 1 here, you put the 2 here, you multiply the 2 times the 3, add the 2, so 6 and 8. And here's what I see is I start seeing people, they're putting the 2 up here and they don't know why. They say after they find this that they add the 0 down here, and I say why? Why do we place a 0 here? It's not just a placeholder. It is a 0. It's there for a reason. And we typically do this before we multiply that 7 times the 1 and the 7 times the 2. And then we add, there's a lot of steps here, and you guys have all learned them, and some of you have memorized what to do. But we don't know why we're doing what we're doing. We know we're putting the 2 up here, we know we're putting the 1 here, we know we're putting the 0 here, but why? Why do we place them in those spots? This is a fine way to multiply, and some of you guys may continue to multiply this way. But we are going to look at a couple of different ways, and I'm going to be asking you guys to use these different ways to multiply as much as you can, because these other ways really dig at that understanding. Why are we multiplying what we're multiplying by? Okay? Math isn't just a memorization game. It's something that we want to understand why we're doing what we're doing, why we place the numbers where we do, why we have that 0. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways that we can be multiplying, and you don't have to do both of the ways in the future. I want you to put both in your notes, but you're going to eventually decide which way you like to do the multiplication, which way makes sense to you, and is how you see the numbers. So when we look at 15 times 6, we are going to decompose the number. We're going to break it down into numbers that we know how to multiply with. So what I mean by that is I'm going to break 15 into our 10 plus 5. We have 2 different numbers there. We have a 10 and we have a 5. And one way we can do this multiplication is we can multiply that 6 times both. We can do 10 times 6. We often know our tens pretty well. Most of us know that 10 times 6 is 60. And then we have our 6 times our 5, or our 5 times our 6, the rest of this 15 times the 6. And we get 30. 5 times 6 is 30. Part of the reason we can do this is, remember, it is 15. We can think of multiplication as 15 groups of 6. So we're saying, what are 10 groups of 6? What's the last 5 groups of 6? And then we're going to just add those back together. We're breaking it up into the smaller groups that we know the multiplication for. And then we're adding those groups back together, because remember, with groups you can multiply, you can add. We're going to get to that same number at the end. So this is one way we can actually just break up the number and do the multiplication. Another way is our area model. Some of you guys may have seen this already and maybe think you don't like it, but I want you to give it a good try here. This is where we break our number up into our 10 plus 5 for 15 and our 6 on the side. So area model means that we simply multiply to fill each of those squares. So we have our 10 times our 6, and we have our 6 times our 5. And it is plus and a positive, so I like to add that plus in there. And now I can see my addition problem going straight across right there to get the 90. The most important thing with the area model is to notice that this is not a 1 and 5, this is 10. We are breaking 15 not into 1 and 5, but into 10 and 5. That's really the big thing to think about. We're breaking the number up into tens and our ones unit, 5. Let's take a look at our next one here. This one's where both of them are double digits. So for this first method, I'm going to start off by splitting this into 10 plus 3, our tens unit, and our ones unit. And we are multiplying all of that by our 15, our 10 plus our 5, our tens unit, our ones unit. Now, if we are using this method, we have to multiply both of these numbers by both of these numbers. We need to multiply 10 times 10. We're going to multiply 10 times 5. We're going to also multiply 3 times 10 and 3 times 5. So we have 4 multiplications to do. So we're looking at our 10 groups of 10 and our 10 groups of 5. We're looking at our 3 groups of 10 and our 3 groups of 5. We're breaking them into smaller groups that we can multiply in our head with. So 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 5 is 50. I'm going to circle these so we can find them. 3 times 10 is 30. And 3 times 5 is 15. So now we have all 4 of those groups multiplied. So we're going to add them up. 100 plus 50 plus 30 plus 15. We have 100. We're going to have 80, 95, so 195. So remember, this is just the process of breaking up our numbers into smaller numbers. We're saying we still have 13 groups of 15. We've just broken them into 10 groups of 10 and 10 groups of 5, 3 groups of 10, 3 groups of 5, so that we have our smaller amounts that we can multiply a little bit easier. Let's try the window for this one. Our window this time has 2 along the top for our 13, our 10 plus 3. And then we also have 2 boxes along the side because we're going to break 15 up into 10 and plus 5. So again, area model. You're multiplying the 2 sides just like we do when we find the area of a rectangle. So 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 5 is 50. And we have that plus, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. 10 times 3 is 30. And again, we have that plus. And then 3 times 5 is 15. Those are both positive, so we're going to add that in there. So we are adding everything up. We can rewrite it out long ways like this. We can write our addition top down if you like to add in the vertical direction. That's great too. We have our 5s in our 1s unit. In our 10s unit, we have 50, 30, which makes 80, and another 10 for 90. And in our 100s unit, we have our 1. So we have 150 or 195. So the idea here is really to break the numbers up into smaller numbers. Now I know that this is different than stacking and multiplying. It also may take up a little bit more room. That's okay because I want to know that you understand what we are multiplying by. So if you're really liking this standard algorithm, let me know. We can talk a little bit more and see if we can help you to understand why you're doing everything that you're doing on there. But this is going to be really helpful. Both of these methods are going to really help you as you move into Math 8 and as you move into algebra in 9th grade because we use these kinds of methods to solve factoring. So I want you to take a look at these. I want you to think about which way made a little bit more sense to you. splitting up our number like this and drawing our arrows to distribute. That's what that one's calling distribution. And writing them out like this? Or do you like the area model where you draw the box and you fill in all of the spots of the box? I want you to take a minute and think about that. And then I would like for you to pick which method you think you like the most and try solving this next one like that. So you should be filling your notes in to solve that next problem.